it's like a practice pad, but it has all the different drums on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like shaped in a hexagon, and it's like 7 different hexagons on there. And so each one, like one is the toms, one is the snare, one is the cymbals, like it's all different places.
Okay.
So Dakota keeps taking it and running with it. And she's gonna play, and so she doesn't let them play. And when they were like, "Hey, we gotta practice," she gets mad and takes the drumstick and throw it at her. So yeah,
that's always fun.
A little shotgun for real.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, y'all. We live. Do your watch parties.
That's why I want to go put on my TV.
Dizzy, you gotta warn me next time.
I did. I said it.
I didn't even hear it.
She said it real light this time. She was like, "Put it on your watch party."
Go ahead.
Let me see. Dang.
It's like a practice pad, but it has all the different 7, and it's like 7 different.
Oops.
All right, I am.
Hey, Danielle. Danielle here early.
Look, they were ready for this conversation.
Hey.
I just got a message that said watch party is going away starting April 16th.
Yeah,
that's what I posted in the group last week.
Because they know they're not pushing it. They don't push it. Like it's dumb. They are just making more ways for everybody to have to pay to get their stuff out. That's the only reason you can really get your stuff out to your followers is by paying.
All right, y'all, I'm playing the music.
I'm shy.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This your girl Dizzy, and welcome back to What You Got to Say. Of course, I got my crazy co-host in the building and a special guest. So what's up, Miss Cool Candice?
What's up, y'all? It is time to chop it up.
All right. And hey, what's up, Mr. Tyrone Greggory?
Oh, gang, let's get it.
That's right. Congratulations on your new podcast, Sir Shooting the Shit by Bad Behavior. I'm loving that. Congratulations for that rollout. How you doing, Miss Kela Mahogany?
Listen, I am doing very beautiful, and I'm in another zone right now. So hey, y'all.
And Mr. Blaq, how are you, sir?
I'm that dude taking my vitamins, drinking my water.
That's right. And last but not least, we have a special guest in the building today. So let me tell y'all, when y'all listen to What You Got to Say and you guys make comments on our videos, sometimes comments and people kind of stick out from everybody else. And we open our doors and invite them to the show because we want to know what they got to say, not just what they got to type. So we let our homie Travis look, and I'm going to disrupt Candice's mental flow. We have Mr. Travis Longwood in the building today to join our conversation. What's up, Mr. Travis? How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
We're good. All right. Hey, what's up, Miss Janae? What's up, Denise? What up, Samantha? How are y'all? I see y'all in the building. All right. So our subject today is, I think this might end up being a series, but the Blaq experience. So the question today, we posted a YouTube video a couple days ago about whether or not Black people in the United States play the victim in society. And so we decided to bring that to the table to see what some people's thought process is about that statement. And then, of course, we're going to be all over the place talking about other things as well. Maybe why the reasons that Black culture is in this situation to begin with, to even have to play the victim. So anybody can start it off, but the first question is, do you feel that in our society, Black people play the victim?
Hell no.
Absolutely.
Hell no. I don't understand how you could play at something that is actually what's happening. Like this is reality. You know what I mean? I think, sure, any human can play the victim and play up something that may not really be going on. But if we're just talking about Black people as a whole, yes, I've said it on this podcast before, the government in America has had been at active war with Black people since they kidnapped Africans and brought them to this country.
Okay. Anybody else?
I completely disagree. I believe that, at one time, America, I think, was very oppressive against Blacks. But as of recently, probably the last 50 years, we've been afforded all types of benefits, government assistance. We got college assistance. I mean, you name it. And not to mention just, I guess, living and being a part of America, I have not been oppressed or felt, like a victim in any way. It's just, you put hard work forward and you get results. And our fight may be harder than others, but that's life. That's what you expect out of life, man. Everything is not going to be the exact same for everybody. So it's just an opportunity to work harder and get a much greater reward, in my opinion.
Okay. Candice?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, anybody.
No. Candice?
Hell no.
Not good.
How can you say that? Well, not you specifically, Travis, but you can't say that Black people playing the victim when there are people who are in every other minority group who have basically had almost a 400-year head start on us. So if we've been oppressed and held back for so long, getting to a certain point in your life, you do have to work harder. And my dad always told me, you got to work twice as hard to get half of what everybody else has. That's bullshit. Why is it that we, because of the color of our skin, who didn't ask to be here, brought here, stolen from our homeland to come here to begin with, why is it that, because you don't like the way I look, you're going to deny me for a loan, but you're going to give it to somebody else who has the same level of everything else that I got going on, or who has less than what I have going on. If I have degrees, if I don't have a lot of debt, if I have, different things that are going for me, you got people that will still be like, nah, it's a no, that's not going to happen. Or, oh, well, we tried, but no, fuck you didn't. You didn't try to do nothing but hold me back. And it's not just me specifically, but you can see in society where this has happened on so many different levels, on so many different occasions. Let's take the GOP, for instance. Georgia just passed a landmark law that basically is stripping Georgians of their rights to vote in so many different ways. Why is it that you're going to make it a misdemeanor offense? Or why are you going to slap somebody with a ticket or make them show up to court because they decided to help this 87-year-old woman who has made it her business to come out here and vote, and it's hot as shit in Georgia, and it's gnats and it's fleas, and we all out here sweating and the sweat rolling down our boobs and crack our ass, and you gonna give somebody else a ticket, or you gonna make them go to jail because they decided to pass out some water, or because they decided to have free sandwiches for everyone, or they decided that they were going to bus people to the polls because they didn't have a way to get there themselves, or because the way Black people were came up in years past, they all decided, was like, hey, we go to church on Sundays, everybody's gonna go vote afterwards. That way we're expressing our civic duty, we are expressing our right to vote, and I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna vote. So now, whereas we used to vote all the time on the weekends or on Sundays, because you got people who are working 8 to 5 or, 9 to 6, you got some people's working 12-hour, 14-hour shifts. They're not able to get to the polls during a standard work week. So when are they going to be able to vote? Okay, you can mail in your ballot. Great. How many of y'all got a copy machine at the house where y'all can do a photocopy of your ID front and back and send that in with your ballot? I'll wait. You got folks in the hood who ain't never had a copier, but they do understand that it's their civic duty to vote. They do understand it's like, hey, my vote does matter. It's hard, but my vote does matter. My brother-in-law, when trying to vote in this last election, literally drove around his city for 6 hours because every polling place that he went to told him, after he stood in line for like 40 to 50 minutes, oh, you in the wrong line, bro. You in the wrong area. This isn't your polling place. What? I'm sorry, what happened? He literally ended up going to a polling place that was 17 miles away from his house.
Yeah, not to interrupt, but I don't see how that's a specific problem for Blacks. That's an issue that all Americans would have to deal with. I don't see, and that's an example of us claiming victimhood. There's a beautiful example of an issue that we all face with this GOP and the vote and all that stuff, but you immediately attach it to us as a problem specifically directed towards us to fail. And that in itself right there is the problem we have with victimizing ourselves. We don't own victimhood.
You want me to tell you why? Because it is an act, like it's because it's meant for Black people. Just because it affects everyone doesn't mean the people that they have in mind that they want to affect with this any particular law. That's just how it's been. Unfortunately, I wish it was a different way, but it's not. A lot of these rules and a lot of these laws that have come into power were like originated because they were trying to suppress and oppress Black people.
Well, Blacks aren't the only people that go to church on Sunday.
I didn't say they were.
So how can that be a specific tactic to hold us back? Blacks ain't the only people to go to work on Sunday. Blacks ain't the only old people that's gonna be in those lines. It's getting water. It'll be white people in those lines too, but they don't complain.
You're correct about that.
Yeah, I'm correct about all of it. Trust me, I didn't thought about it.
But you have to. But just because everyone is affected doesn't mean that if I say that I want to mess up this podcast today for Dizzy. Like I'm just coming at Dizzy, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just going to argue with her the whole time. I'm going to make this a bad experience for her. Everybody else is affected because then it becomes a bad podcast. Cabana can't chime in. You can't say anything because I'm just over talking everybody. But my hate is going towards Dizzy. Everybody is still affected. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by the laws are like they originate from the place to oppress Black people because they understand what our vote, what us becoming more empowered and more independent of the system, what that really means for their power.
Well, I just think what it means is obviously we need to adjust. If a problem affects 100 people and it affects a group of us more, let's say Blacks or whatever, that tells me that we need to adjust and do whatever the rest of those 80 people is doing, so it does not affect us that way. That's all. That's what happens in a society.
Here's the thing though, every time we get to a place where we're able to do that, they move the finish line. Every time we get to a point where it's like, hey, we're gonna get here, we're gonna make it. All right, y'all, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's come up with a new plan. Let's readjust and we can make this shit happen. Bruh, they move the finish line every time.
But the question is,
hold on. Let me. I just gotta chime in because we all gotta talk. Amen. Hello. First of all, Tyrone, Greggory, your beard is on fleek. Amen. Let me just say this. I was, Travis, more on your side in a sense of I always seek out balance in anything that I look or prescribe to. But, on the journey of life and you're seeing things, I realized that words create war. What means one thing to you means something different to someone else. And so for me, the definition of when they say victimized, just like Kela said, there are things that have been set up for us to fail. And when you accept racism for number one, for what it is, not just what it was, what it is. And even seeing the video, there were a lot of things that were said that were very on point. And the one thing that you're talking about is maybe one thing that I agree upon. We have all the responsibility as human beings and individuals to make choices to better our lives. But it doesn't mean just because me, as a very passionate, aggressive CEO that refuses to be put down, does not experience racism, sexism, all that stuff on a regular basis. There are cultures that are out here, unfortunately, and that's where people need to pull the Windex out and start spraying to really see. There are cultures out here, and specifically ours, that the agenda is not for greatness. It does not matter how much we want to say, oh, we are great, because baby, believe everybody on this panel is not one that sits back, relaxes. We go for things. We understand that we are the community. I always say on my show is that I'm building bridges instead of ditches. But the ditches that we make is that we don't realize the words that we are saying. So I think it's better to have the understanding. If we're saying victim, for me, victim for our culture is that it is set up for us to fail. Even in celebrity, Hollywood, every time one person, Bill Cosby, Steve Harvey, I can say everybody that went for something as far as buying a station, creating, even Oprah in the OWN network. If you go look at the research, they put her up there, and then like Candice says, they push back the finish line. So it's always like we got to do triple, quadruple the work in order to make a gain. I think the thing that we need to understand is, how do we progressively make change? And I think that's kind of maybe where me and you may come to the same agreement, because I believe that we have to, move forward, and we have to work and make things happen as a collective. I don't think that Black people personally victimize. I think from my own new understanding is that we need to get out of the brainwashing that we have received so that we can come together and move forward to be a bigger bridge. Because even though, quote, claim we are the 15%, we claim so much power in this world. We are not just like this little bitty power. And I think that's the part that we can recognize and come together. But we cannot be the Justice League and not realize that the villains that are creating the evil are the ones that are creating the roadblocks and the storms and the tornadoes and the hurricanes. If we're here to stop storms, then we have to go to the people that are creating them. We did not create racism. We did not create slavery. We did not create these people beating us and killing us. And it would be different, Travis, if last year or 3 months ago, we weren't getting killed and stopped and doing the same things that Rosa Parks and all these people have done. See, the difference is, if the past was the past, instead of it being the present, we can move on to the future. But because the past is still the present, we still stuck trying to fight. And I think the wordplay that people give, they have to understand, is it that we are victimizing, or we are not understanding how to come out of what they have perpetually drove a nail?
The problem is you will never come out of that. As long as we give responsibility to the villains, as you say, the white America, as long as we say they're holding us back and they're doing this, then we're giving all the power to them. And in my opinion, in business and everything I do, I want my power. I'm not giving it to nobody. So you get power through accountability. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you on a lot of those points, but I do think our society has changed greatly. I don't think my mother experienced over amount of racism in her life. My grandmother, different story. I'm pretty sure she did. But yeah, so hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. Somebody had my table.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg, your turn.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry.
I was gonna say, number one, like Cabana was saying, it's the wordplay in this too as well. Because we have to all understand, what are we saying by are Black people playing the victim? That was the original question. Do Black people play victim? And I feel like that's a double-edged sword asking that question, because it's because of how people take those words. Just like Kela said, like Candice was saying, how can you play victim when it is the truth? It is the truth that we have been, our ancestors were taken from Africa, brought over here. You know what I'm saying? We were brought here under duress. We were taken as slaves, doing all this. Okay, like Travis said, over years, we got certain rights given to us, given to us, but they were already afforded to Americans that were already here. So it's like, you got to look at both sides of that, because at one point you can sit here and be mad. You got some black people that are just mad because, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. But then you have other black people that are out here fighting and going to get what they want. That's the difference right there. You got those that are fighting and those that are not fighting. Those that are going with the status quo and going with what is, you know, said to be normal. And then you have those that say, no, this shit ain't normal. We should be this. We should be able to have that, just like this group of people over here. It's not playing victim. It's saying, give me mine just like you got yours. Mm-hmm. Period. Oh.
So for sake of, look, we got a whole lot of people saying a whole lot of good shit.
There's a lot going on.
So I want to start saying some of the things that they're saying, but I think for the sake of clarity, I went ahead and I looked up the actual definition of victim, and then we're going to use because there's no real definition of playing the victim, but I'll give you what that is too. All right. I know, right? So a victim is a person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action, or a person who is tricked or duped. So let's say that's what a victim is. All right. Now, this is where it gets fun for me. Because I'm glad that Travis did what he did, because I got to research, so I use my words and phrases correctly. Playing the victim, for sake of this argument, victim playing, also known as playing the victim, victim card, or self-victimization, is the fabrication or exaggeration of victimhood for a variety of reasons, such as to justify abuse of others, to manipulate others, a coping strategy, attention seeking, or diffusion of responsibility. Okay, so, and then I'm gonna jump into the comments, because I definitely want to say, do I believe that Black people are victims due to the circumstances that Kela named? Yes. We are victims of all of that. Do Black people play victim at times based off the stats that Kela gave us as a, what's the last part? Diffusion of responsibility? I will say, hell yes, they do. Hell yes, they do. I agree. It takes 10 times as harder for me to get somewhere, not just because I'm Black, but also because I'm a woman. So it takes me 10 times as harder. I got to be more educated, think more on my feet, be more assertive, be more, because I already understand that I'm 10 steps or maybe 100 behind the WASP, White Anglo-Saxon American Protestant. I am 100 steps behind them. So yes, I realize I'm going to have to run a little bit faster if I want to catch up to wherever they are. I don't ever really believe that we are going to ever, in my lifetime, catch up. But what I'm not going to do is use me being a victim of the circumstances that we are discussing to diffuse the responsibility of what I need to do as a Black human being. So when I say diffuse responsibility is when you have some of our people sitting at home. Now, I'm not talking about the ones who clearly need public assistance. I have nothing against public assistance, but we all not gonna sit here and act like we don't have our people along with other people that take advantage of public assistance because they are seeking diffusion of responsibility. I'm not gonna work, so I want somebody to take care of me. You owe me. You owe me. I don't want to work. I don't want to work harder. I don't want to do this. I'm giving you the tools to be successful, and you don't want to do it. Then yes, you are playing the victim. You don't get to play that card anymore when people are trying to give you tools to be successful. And I am not saying the entire African-American race. I am saying I can almost bet you every single person, Black, white, Native American, I don't care what color you are, you know someone who plays the victim and does not take advantage or responsibility for their own life and their own choices. So I will say yes.
Is that personality? Is that a personality thing? Because the danger for me is when we say that, a lot of times there's already this humongous negative stigma on our community. We have ratchet people of all colors.
Yes.
People of all colors. And I think, you know, it's great that you got the definition and that's wonderful, but we all know people that are just irresponsible. That has nothing. That's why I said wordplay is different. Are we talking about and that's the thing, are we talking about the whole pie? Because if we're talking about the whole pie, then we need to talk about the whole pie. And if the whole pie is Black, then we are the victims. If we're individualizing, individualizing the situation, then we can be nitpicky all we want. But we got to talk about the whole pie. Yes. And I think that's the problem is we can always find a superhero in shit. We can always find a fly that will fly to a piece of doo-doo at any time. But when you address the actual nature of the community of flies, I'm talking about the whole thing. And I think for me, that is one of the things why I keep saying about words are very dangerous, because what happens is we can always navigate what I call, well, this is how I feel. It could be like this for your family. It could be like this for my family. I'm saying the whole pie, if we talk about the whole pie, which is Black, then we are the victims. It does not mean that we are to take the narrative of the victim, because that would be all of us then sitting back and being relaxed and saying, well, you owe me my mule and my acres and all this. No, I know that I have to go forward. But what I won't do and what I won't acknowledge is the fact that they still have a piece of paper that they have not even abolished for our rights to vote. Like, let's be really realistic here. There are things that are in law that still define that we're not free. And because they define that we're not free, how dare you, not you, sir, but you know, if you feel it, that is for you. But how dare you have the mitigated law to think that we're not? It's different. You look at the Jews, you look at all these different cultures and how the reciprocity has come. Reciprocity has not come for us. So therefore, if it has not come for us, we have to grow up and understand and say, hey, yeah, as an individual, nah, I'm not the victim. I have some friends, they love trifling. They do what they do. Friends, I didn't say they colors. Right. But my community, what I live in, is still not getting justice. And until justice is served, no one can come to me and say, well, you know, me personally.
Right. So, you know. Go ahead, Trav. I'm gonna insert after what you just said. I am gonna insert something that Lance did say, because something that Lance said makes sense to me after what you just said. Until we get justice, then this is where we're gonna be. So then Lance says, not in response to that statement.
Right. I know.
What is the goal that everyone is looking for when it comes to, and I'm not going to use color because we've already taught Lance, don't use that, Black. Okay, so what is the goal everyone is looking for when it comes to the Black community though then? When can we sit here and be satisfied on where we're at? What is the end state that will satisfy people's fight against racism? I wake up every morning and I wish acts such as racism would just disappear, because my goal is for us to not see us as color, but as human beings like myself. But I get called a racist anyway, because now I'm colorblind, even though my intentions are to fight racism of any kind. But what I did like is that Janae gently corrected Lance and says, because when you don't see color, you're ignoring who we are. We are not completely our skin color, but it is a part of us. So you're basically saying you don't see me. So for you to say, we want justice, what does that look like for you to no longer be a victim?
Justice looks like, well, first of all, let me say this. I'm so glad that we have a safe place where people can come and be themselves and people chime in and help us grow. That's the first thing what justice looks like. Like in the midst of me having a conversation, someone used their words incorrectly, and then we came together to say, this is not what it is. Mm-hmm. Like at the end of the day, you know, really, Travis, I'm on the same page. I'm happy-go-lucky. I want the world to be a better place and living forward. But I'm learning each and every day. I cannot ignore my truth. Let me come closer. I cannot ignore my truth. So until the people stop ignoring my truth, instead of hurting my truth, instead of killing my truth, instead of abusing my truth, then there's no other choice for me than to live in my truth and try to be the best me. It is not my responsibility altogether. It's everybody's responsibility to play the part. And when we neglect that responsibility and say, hey, when stop playing the victim, or, grow up. No, you can't say, yo, what are you doing to build a bridge? What are you doing in your community? What are the things that you can name personally? Like if someone came up to me, Travis, and said, what are you doing in the community? I could say, you can actually Google me because I lived that life.
Right.
You have to not just be up here on this totem pole and just like this podium and saying all these things. It's a lot of action that is missing, not just in our community, but in everybody's community. The justice for me is people understanding, correcting. And excuse me when I say this, the white race does not collectively want to work together to justify, because the one thing that one guy said in the video is, he said, we make up like, I think he said 15%, right? He said, but yeah, we can't do it on our own. The other races are going to have to help us as well. You get what I'm saying? Like, we are a certain number. We don't even have the capacity, in a sense, to overload the system and say, boom. We need everyone to get on page. So I think, like I said, I don't disagree with you, but I just feel like it's wordplay, and words make a difference. And I'm glad we're just having this conversation.
Travis, Kela, I know both of y'all was like,
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
No,
Travis. Okay.
I'm gonna let Travis go.
All right, so a lot of valid points. But like when people usually say things like, every race has ratchet people or stuff like, all pit bulls ain't vicious. What we got to do is look at statistics and averages. And I think close to 70% of Blacks are in inner cities, living below poverty levels. That's 70% of us. That's ratchet, y'all. That is the majority of Blacks being ratchet. That's the truth. And the issue, yeah.
I'm sorry, like, are you saying because you live in the inner
absolutely
city that you're ratchet?
The vast majority.
Wait. You telling me, because I live 723 Taylor Avenue, Aqua Vista, down the bottom where the rocks are, where you have to walk with the shoes and grandma, and we walking down the street. You telling me that because I'm in a demographic area of the hood in the ghetto, that I'm ratchet? No, ratchet is a mentality. It is a spirit. It's how the person lets themselves be perceived by the decisions that they make. Just because I'm in the hood does not make me the hood. And even the hood is not ratchet. It's the people that decide to destroy the hood. The hood is just
the vast majority.
There may be lower income. There may be certain levels to this thing. But once again, you struck me with a word, and I'm like, I had to think about
it's the vast majority. It's a matter of averages. You can bet that the vast majority of people in any ghetto are ratchet. In any ghetto in the world. That's
would
just
you say ratchet, or better yet, the word maybe is this: not ratchet, but people in any area of the hood, that 70%, there is a likelihood that they are challenged with their circumstances, that their personalities are not as cultured as they want to be. But even then, that's a stretch because every hood is not like that. You have so many amazing people.
Averages. You gotta stick to averages. You can't pick and choose who you want to be.
Because I don't think that you can make an average.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. 23% of all African American men, women, and children live below the poverty level, compared to just 13% of all Americans as a whole. I'm going to repeat it. 23% of all African men, women, and children live below the poverty level, compared to just 13% of all Americans as a whole. I do not think that equates to ratchetness. Unless we're naming, we're defining ratchet differently. And we had Shane. I see you, Shane. Shane is in the building, and Shane said ratchet is a mood. It is not a demographic.
My mood most of the time.
I mean, impoverished areas.
Time, you silly.
Oh.
So I just wanted to make sure that I put that there, because I really feel, I think word choice, as Cabana has stated, word choice is important, because it seemed like you were saying, and maybe I digested it correctly. It seemed like that you were equating the fact of people living in poverty equaled ratchet behavior. When you got
for the majority. I mean, when you meet somebody,
are we forgetting about zoning laws when they first started these communities, which they put us in certain areas anyway, and then they made those areas poverty-stricken the way they did? Are you forgetting?
And redlining.
I'm speaking of redlining. Yeah. Are you forgetting that though, sir?
Man, listen, I don't care where anybody put me. I can keep my area clean.
So I can keep my area clean. But yet you can judge for those that are in those communities and are still living in those communities, because listen, people didn't have anything to pass down, just because.
You don't have to pass down work. You can paint your house for free.
Okay,
that's extremely cheap.
But guess what though? You have, families that some create their own business. Some people don't have a skill like that. Everybody has God-given talent, but guess what? Everybody don't know how to make those skills practical, right?
And whose fault is that?
Nobody's fault. Like,
yes, it is.
It's our fault.
If you are accountable for your actions, then it is everything that happens to you is your fault. You have to go out here and make things happen. If you don't have the knowledge, go seek it. It's everywhere.
Right, but you don't know.
Go to a library.
But you don't know what you don't know, right? So you can see all around us that Black people, we have done that. Because if we weren't fighting for our rights in the past, they wouldn't be here. You have to understand that there is a pressure coming against Black people that they have to fight against to where the six of us can be on this panel talking right now. Right. And so it had to start from somewhere. Now imagine if Black people would have just continued to take whatever the system was trying to give it. Nothing would be changed. They would still feel okay with not allowing us in certain places, not allowing us to do certain things.
Absolutely.
But because we persevere, because we have hard work, because we want something better for ourselves, and we're talking about the whole pie, not individual people. Because when we talk about individual people, like you seem to be focused on, that everybody has the will, the knowledge, even the brain power to turn.
No, we have access. We
might have access, but not everybody knows how to use that access.
How is that the fault of white people? How is that? How are we?
I'm not saying
everyone doesn't even have access. Let's look at the educational system. Let's look at the schools that are in those inner city areas. Let's look at the school systems that are in those impoverished areas. How is it that those children are not looking for more when they're given raggedy desks? The books are falling apart. The books are 10 to 15 years old. So they're not getting laptops, or they're not getting computers, or they still got the big back joints that, had dial up and shit. How is it that it's their fault when these are the opportunities that they are given? Because okay, this is all you get because this is all the amount of money that your community is bringing in right now. Although we know all of y'all are below the poverty line. So this is all you get. This is all you deserve. And so at that point, the children are already feet and miles behind everyone else. Someone that's not talking about private school whose parents can actually afford to send their kids there, but we're talking about kids who are, let's say, just on the other side of the town, on the other side, that invisible red line, where they have iPads and laptops and they have teachers that are coming in who have these Ivy League degrees, and then you have these children that are coming in from these areas that are impoverished, that aren't given the same opportunities because they don't have the same access to education. It's not those children's fault that they are in that situation, that they are in that predicament. So once they are to a level, or once they do become of age, it's hard for them to try and grasp the concept of, okay, now there's this open world of information that I have access to, because now I can finally afford an iPhone or a Samsung or some other, electronic device that I can use and look all these different things up. But what do I know to look up if all I've had is a less than education?
All right, now, I've given that a lot of thought about education and how our Black students in the inner city are kind of restricted in their abilities to gain a fair education. But then again, it comes back to accountability. It comes back to the community itself. And you have to remember, crime costs money. Cities got to pay for that. When you have multiple shootings every day, you got car police chases, you got drugs, you got rehab programs, all of that cultural negativity strains these cities of money, literally taking food and education from our children, from our babies. All of these cultural norms that Blacks do in these communities that we promote in music, it all strains the community. And this is what we need to start focalizing. We need to start pointing these individuals out, these groups of our people who are straining our communities of resources. It costs money for these cities to pick up trash when people dump mattresses. And nobody is forcing them to do it. Nobody is forcing them to sell drugs. Nobody is forcing them to break windows and be unruly and this and that. It strains the city's budgets, and our children are losing, no question about it. But just like everything else, it goes right back to the individuals. It goes back to our family structures. The parents are failing these children. They go to school unruly. They're not listening to the teachers. They fighting. They in there dancing. These are all cultural issues. They have nothing to do with these cities. There's a group of people called the Amish in our country.
Right.
They build schools. They don't need the government. They go back to their towns that they bought. And I watched this show, right? And they're on the plane moving to Brazil. And the lady's like, okay, so y'all moving way out in the jungle. How they gonna go to school? This dude looked at her and laughed and said, we gonna build it. What do you mean? That's what life is about. Okay, we don't got schools, we don't need them, we'll build them. We'll take the time to sit down with our children and we'll teach them. And
That's amazing. That is. But do you know what happened when we did have our own communities?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what happened in Tulsa? They bombed the fuck out of us. We had our own law offices, our own schools, our own libraries, our own banks. We had everything. And what happened?
I agree. Build it again.
But this is the
build it again.
I think this is the thing that this is great that you're saying this part. Number one, let me say this. Teacher for 15 years. And then when I wasn't teaching, I've gone to different schools, nurseries, all that. And I've seen both, cultural backgrounds. Number one, let's say this. I've seen a nursery with no supplies, barely making it, and they're trying to get these quotes, like the 501c3. What is it when people give them money? Give it to me. The word.
The grants.
The grants. They're trying to get all these grants, but they're being denied. Okay, but then over here, another school that is well-to-do is getting the grants because they see the establishment has this and that. And then you said, which I thought this was very a spot-on moment of you maybe getting enlightened, because I am a musician and an artist. It's kind of interesting that you said that the cultural thing and they're doing this and they're doing that. But the very thing that you said, let's go get the people, is the very people, white people, that are running this. One man said, we buying Jordans and Jordan's not owned by, a Black person. The thing about it is music videos and all this stuff, it is perpetuated by that race because it makes money. It's perpetuated. And because negative things from us is making them money, they don't want to lose their money. See, to do good means to be good. And most people don't want to do good because they feel like they're going to lose. We know that money is the root of all evil if you don't know what money's purpose is for. It is to provide. It is supposed to build. And the thing that keeps coming back to you, if you're looking at it, it's not that we're not going to do it. But let me get close. We shouldn't have to do it. That's the problem. The problem is, why do we have to fight so hard to be something that we were born to be? Like, if I could change my color, first of all, I wouldn't. But I'm sure people that struggle, go through, they're like, well, maybe I should be something else. Because it's a shame that being Black means that I gotta fight for the rest of my life, even in my good days, my victorious days, my sad days, my tragic days. You have to think about what you're saying. You're not saying this about other races. And let me even say more about the Amish. They got people that support. They get their grants approved. See, it's cultural appropriation. It's people making sure that the rich get rich and the poor get poor. If they want people to be poor, such as ourselves, that's what they're going to do. So what are you doing? You're fighting against a machine. And let me tell you, brother, like I said, I'm getting a wake-up call. My wake-up call is recent. But what I'm understanding, my part is build the bridge, show responsibility. And I think, to me, Travis, respectfully, you come off more like you want to help, but you help selfishly. You don't speak in a way that is community-driven. You speak in a way that is yourself-driven. Because
I just don't play to the music.
But no, I'm saying, hold on. Most people, when you understand what I'm saying, is that when you speak about these things, you keep bringing it back to I and me instead of we. Each race, even the Asians, will come together, stay in one house, get that money, buy a business that is our business. Come on, Black hair, weave, nails. But they come together and then they go get another one and they bring some more people over. We have to understand the WE. Like you can speak all these great things, but to me, you ain't giving me no solution. All you giving me is solution for yourself. No, let me say, hold on, I want you to hear this part because I really want you to answer that. You're not giving me any solution, but you're giving me a solution for yourself. I need to know what is the solution for ourselves in this community outside of you saying, man up, basically, take your responsibility. Everybody can do that.
No, everybody cannot do that.
No, I'm not saying everybody has, no, hold on. Everybody has a choice to make a choice. I'm not saying that it's hard, but we are all given a choice. Not saying, oh, we can't do it. No, but I'm saying, if I say, Dizzy, your choice is black or red hair, something just as simple. People can give us, like they say they give us choices all the time. That's why I'm saying to Travis, we're the race that we're given this choice, but we're not given the access. So I just need to know, what is your solution? Because even though we can make a decision to stand up for ourselves, we still got to fight.
Everybody has to fight, and I disagree.
No. Black people, get it back to the subject. I hate when people.
You gotta let him respond, Cabana. You gotta let him respond. You're not even allowing him to answer the question, even though it's not what you want to hear. You gotta let him respond to what you asked him. All right. You gotta let him respond. Go ahead, Travis.
Accountability. There's nothing like it. That's one word, one solution. Accountability. It's with your logic, you're saying, like, say for instance, let's say me. I was raised in a house with a single crack addicted parent, in comparison to my schoolmate who had two parents. Like, just because my life is harder, which, it would most likely be, does that rule out my need to push forward and work? Like, it shouldn't matter my personal issue or the failures or the flaws or whatever I have in my life. The bottom line is I have to push forward. I have to be accountable. God made it or whoever made it, that's the way it is. And it's not so unfair that it's impossible for me to do it. It just requires a little bit more work. And that's it, man. That's how we got to approach. And I think like when you talk about Asians and other races, again, I think what it is they hold each other accountable. They hold each other to a higher standard than we hold our own because we allow victimhood. We allow ourselves to complain and come up with excuses and no more excuses. Go to work. Go to work. If you got to work 40 hours, work 60 because we underprivileged. So work harder. That's just what we have to do. And I mean, it's a hard task. And I'm being extremely gracious with that. I don't think it's that hard, honestly. We all business people. We all started businesses in this country. It wouldn't happen in an oppressive and overly racist country. And I've also seen racism from Blacks. I've seen it from whites. I've been called a nigger. I've seen my friends attack white people because they were white. So it kind of lets me know that this is pervasive in our society. And as long as it's not overly, it doesn't happen often enough, then it's not oppressive. It's not I'm not a victim. It's just a construct of life. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what accountability. I think that's
a purposeful construct of life. A purposeful construct of life. I think I get what you're saying. I think I get where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. And you are you have a particular like thought about life, but it is all a part of that construct. It is all a part of how like they control the society and how they've done us. My question is, do you think that we are special? Do you think that you're special? Do you think that Black people are special?
Well, in our own right, I would think so.
Are we different? Are we different than any other ethnicity on this planet?
I would say yes. Just like any other ethnicity, we are different in sense, one way or the other.
But Black people and Black Americans in particular, no other Black people, but particularly the Americans who are Black, are we a special and individualized group of people?
Absolutely.
Do you feel any type of responsibility to that?
What do you mean?
Like, do you feel that you're a part of the Black community and then you're American, or do you feel like you're American and then you're a part of the Black community?
I think I'm American first.
Okay.
I think I'm American first. I think you have to conform to the environment you're in.
So yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I thought. I never fault any Black person for where they are in their journey, because Black people are in a particular part of our own history, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, we are Americans. That is one of the birthrights. That's the receipt that they have on us, our social security number and our passport. That is where we were born. This is the only thing that's really our birthright, is that you're an American. And I think Black people who kind of cling to America first, you are a part of the history where you are helping move the culture forward. You are helping move our people forward 100%, because you have a thought that I can do anything, I can be anything. I'm damn if anybody, says no. The only pushback I would have on that school of thought is be that way without then attacking other Black people who aren't where you are right now. Because our history is so, like I said, it's been a constant push against the progress that Black people want to make. Not everybody has the sense of mind, has the opportunity, resources, or has even seen somebody else do better than them to be able to then continue that journey for their family. Mm-hmm. You were able to see something, that made you know that there are bigger things, more things out here in this world. That is amazing. And there, like, a lot of Black people have had that experience to where we can be better as a race, right? But there are people whose lives has been so hard and so damaged that they can't even begin to think about how they can get out of their situation. That is just truth. You can't argue against that. That doesn't mean that they don't want better for themselves. Maybe they are actually sacrificing whatever is going on in their life so that their child can be the next one to go to school and do all of this. But we can't be what we can't see. And if all we see around us is the only way that I'm gonna survive and eat today is if I go out and sell drugs, or if I go out and rob this person, or if I go out and do this, because that's how the people around me, that's what I see. You can't fault them, because that is not, they did not put themselves there on purpose. Like, they didn't. Ghettos, projects, the hood, whatever, they are there by design. Okay, you have nothing to do with that. You don't have to agree to it because it's already happening. So it doesn't need your agreement for it to function well. Okay, that's just what it is. It's not the people who grow up in the project's fault that there's a big old corporation that is burning tires and doing whatever, you know what I'm saying, that makes them sick, that then ruins a generation or two because now they don't have any money coming into the house, and maybe a child has to go out at 14 and go to work. Like, we have to have some empathy for Black people. This is why I asked you at the beginning, did you think you were special? Because we are the only ones of our kind, the only ones of our kind. Okay, and we have also been oppressed. And so wherever we are today is because of the work that people did in the past, but not everybody is on the same level. And I just want you to have some empathy for people who may not have seen the light, got the education, got the experience that you did, so that you don't talk down. You don't have to like agree with how they are or how they're living or whatever. Just don't talk down to them, because that does worse than just giving the information and education and encouraging them and empowering them, telling them that they can, instead of saying you acting ratchet because you live in the hood. Like, don't push them down, just help lift them up. That's what I would say. Maybe in your language, just find different words that helps push Black people forward, instead of ridiculing them for maybe the circumstance that they are in, that you don't know if they've ever even been able to experience anything else.
Yeah, I don't think it's ridicule. I really don't. I think it's just people get offended when you kind of expose reality to them and pretty much tell them that it's their fault. Nobody likes to face themselves. So I understand that. I've been facing that my whole life with people. No one likes to look in the mirror and say, I'm the reason that I'm in this situation. And the funny thing with societal constructs and design and all this stuff, nothing trumps accountability. I don't care how stupid you are, how ratchet you are. The very second you understand accountability, your life will change. And that's a message. Happen? Huh?
When do people start to understand accountability?
As soon as you accept responsibility. I'm
saying, who teaches them that? At what age?
We do. We need to teach them that. And you can't teach them that by saying they're a victim. Because
I'm not saying you call them a victim, but what I'm saying is you are still talking about the individual. We're talking about the whole pie of Black people.
Yes.
And so if you do the community work, yes, 100%, you are with those kids, you are with those adults saying, hey, this is how you got to this point. That's that individual work that we do with the people that trust us. But if we're just talking about Black people as a whole, like, we're not even saying that we are, like, it's just the truth that they have been victimized, therefore they are victims, but nobody is stopping. Not one of us is saying, like, yes, I have been a victim. I can be much more than I am today had white people not fucked with my family, fucked with my ancestors or anything. I could be more than I am today. So, but that doesn't mean that I'm stopping. I'm gonna be everything that I can be.
There you go.
And that's but that doesn't negate the fact of what the construct is.
You cannot support self-victimization and progress. They offset each other. That's what you guys don't understand.
I'm an example of how that is not true. I'm an example of how that's not true. Yes, I am a victim of this dumbass country treating Black people the way that they treat Black people. But I am definitely not somebody who's going to sit on my butt and not do anything. I'm going to go after everything that I can.
That's the smaller percentage of us. So we need to.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. We need to approach the larger percentage of us who fail to be accountable and take responsibility. And
there are 2.3 million Black people in prison right now. How many? So that's at least 2.3 million families. right? So that's 2.3 million, let's say, partners who are affected, kids, all
and
of
how
that
is that
stuff.
the fault of our government? I don't know. I've been in prison. Everything I did to get in trouble, I did it myself.
That's
I
individual.
did it myself.
But don't
Everything
act
that
like
most,
there's not a design. Don't act like that people are in jail like unjustly, if that's the word.
right. No, I'll tell you what, I'll say about 90-some% of them dudes in jail is guilty. Now, are they guilty of the crimes they're convicted of? That's a whole nother topic. Well, no. Prosecution, what they'll do is they'll trump charges up to make you cop out to a lesser offense. Right. But was that person in the car that day with drugs and this cultural stuff that we promote? Is that the reason why he was even in the presence of police? Yes. Could he, you know what I'm saying? Could that have been avoided if we went to school, if you went to work? One thing my granny told me when I was young, I got in trouble. And this lady looked at me and said, why you keep getting in trouble? I was like, I don't know. She was like, you know what you need to do? Get a job. It's kind of hard to get in trouble when you're at work all day. And I thought of that as a kid and was like, you know what? That's true. If I'm at work for 10 hours every day, I'm too tired when I get home to get in trouble. And these are the things we need to teach.
How old were you?
I was a kid.
Why were you working as a kid?
Like,
why weren't
16,
you doing after
17
school?
years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were like 10, 11. I'm like, why are you out getting a job instead of going to an after school program where you can learn? Because that also helps kids stay out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Not just a job, but I understand like 17, 18, you could go out and get a job.
I have a question for Travis. What was the statement that you made a couple minutes ago? You said something and this cannot coexist.
Coexist. Progress and self-victimization or accountability. Accountability and self-victimization offset each other. You can't have them both.
Yeah, you can.
It don't work that way.
So let me ask you this. All right. Do you agree? I'm trying to figure out how to word it. All right. If you had I'm gonna use rape. Let's use rape real quick. I just want to see where your thought process is. So if this woman A, gets raped, right? And then as a result of that rape, obviously she experienced some sort of trauma. So after she experienced this trauma, it changed the entire fabric of her being. And she started, and let's say she was raped by a tall Black man, period. Mm-hmm. So because of that, changed the fabric of her being, and she started going out and targeting tall Black men as a result of her rape of a tall Black man, beating them, shooting them, stabbing them, dogging them, stealing from, all this hate and anger towards the tall Black man. Mm-hmm. Okay, why is she doing that?
I mean, it could be a number of reasons. It could be prior or pre-existing psychological issues. It could be trauma. Could be, that's not an easy answer.
That's not an easy answer. Okay, so something has happened. She's experienced a trauma. Mm-hmm. And because she has not dealt with the trauma that she has experienced, she's wilding out. She is doing whatever she knows as right in her brain to process this trauma. She may not have access to therapy. She may be embarrassed and not want to speak about it with her friends. She may not have the mental capacity to even know what the hell she needs to ask for help. How is she accountable for something that happened to her? How does she reach a place to be accountable for something that happened to her? Not something she caused.
Right.
Something that happened to her. Because in my mind, you must acknowledge that you are a victim of whatever trauma you experienced before you can grow and start being accountable for your future actions. You can't fix me from whooping people's ass for being raped until I acknowledge I was raped, and then somebody somewhere gives me the tools that I need to live from that point forward. So what is happening, and this is why I understand Kela and Cabana's point, and I also understand your point. You're not gonna go nowhere unless you put in work. That's the bottom line. I get that. I give you 150% kudos. You are absolutely right.
You can't even heal without that.
Right. However, I cannot move forward from the rape, the trauma of what happened until I, one, acknowledge what happened and then understand that it wasn't my fault. Probably. I mean, it wasn't my fault.
It wasn't.
I did not cause this. I did not bring this on myself. Now, if I don't know how to become whole again, I am going to keep living in the incorrect cycle of life until someone can give me that tool. And that's where the part I agree with Kela. If you have communities, and I saw this happen, I mean, I know it's part of the gentrification process, but I saw here in my own neighborhood, not my neighborhood, but my city, there was a project in our area called Pine Chapel. That is where a lot of individuals who were up, poverty line, or, maybe just making it, just getting a lot of public assistance, people lived in this area. The city bought the land and said, you have this many days to get out. Okay. I'm sorry, city of Hampton. Let's just say there's 1,000 families that live there, because I don't remember what the number, but let's just say there's 1,000 families. There's 1,000 families who live at or below the poverty line that need to go somewhere in 30 days. Can you show me another project that we can go to? If that's all I'm able to provide at this point, because you've given me 30 days. You've given me 30 days to move my family to another location, and everything around me is 3 to 4 times more than what I'm making right now. It's not impossible. It is extremely difficult to tell these 1,000 families in 30 days, work harder and get it together. And by the way, make 4 times what you was making before. I'm not saying now, 250 might have done it. So I'm not going to negate the fact that I'm not going to say it's impossible. So let's say 250 people did it, but the other people couldn't. We cannot then turn later and say, well, that's your fault. We can't say that to them. It's not their fault that they were upended out of their homes and there was no other facilities for them to go to and live in a 30-day period. This is the type of shit that is happening, I feel, to, yes, people across the board, but Pine Chapel in this particular sense was predominantly Black. Had they done this same thing to Kiln Creek, where the people are predominantly white,
is it still low income?
Hell. Huh?
Is it still low income? The white area
doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, the white area. You
no,
talking
it's
about
not low income. I don't know any low income, predominantly white areas.
There you go.
That's your
answer.
You mean
that's your answer right there.
How?
Why do we live in impoverished areas?
Because we get at or below, not all, poverty level wages.
You know the history of America, right? Like, do you know the history of America? Do you know how, like, if you were watching a Saturday morning cartoon and they started with, you know what I'm saying, the landing on Plymouth Rock, and then it just took like many steps to 2021, you know how like shit happened, right? Because if you don't know how shit happened, then I'm not sure that we're ever going to be able to come to like even a middle ground, because there are just things that just happen.
Well, I mean, one thing about the past and the present is that in this situation, 60% of Blacks we make up 60% of the unemployed people in this country. So that tells me right there, we're not working. I don't care what happened to get to where we at. Working every day tends to get you out of those situations. And if 60% of us, or we make up 60% of unemployment, we're not trying hard enough. It's just that simple. If
the people who are even in that situation are living paycheck to paycheck. So at what point in time are you going to be able to get yourself out of that situation if you're barely making enough to make ends meet? You don't have any generational wealth to pass down to your children, nor have you received anything from your ancestors because they didn't have anything to give you.
You've actually had to pay debt from somebody dying.
That part. Why am I paying death tax because you died? Wait, what?
Right.
Gotta work hard.
You know what? This is what I would challenge you to do, Travis, because I will say this. At one point in time in my life, some of the answers that you are giving are things that I would have said. And I'm gonna be really transparent because I've always been a hustler. I've always been the 3-4 job chick. Even when I was living at home with my parents, that's what I have always been. However, what I will say is this: I challenge you. You don't have to do it right this second, but I challenge you to take the minimum wage pay, multiply it, give me a monthly of what the monthly income is going to be, and then find me a place to live in your area where I can afford that for a minimum. And again, like I said, I'm a different animal. I have never, nor will I ever, unless dire straits, I'm not working a minimum wage job. I won't. Yeah. But that's not everybody's choice. I wanted to give a statement that Shane said on my thing. While most of us have luxury of choice, some are not afforded the mental space and awareness to realize they are in a position to make a choice. So I challenge you, because now I'm starting to, I have a son, he's gonna be 18 in a few years.
Can I interrupt that point? Can I interrupt? Because it made a lot of sense. The thing with that is that, you have to see, I lost my train of thought now. Can you say that last thing you just,
while most of us have the luxury of choice, some aren't afforded the mental space and awareness to realize they are in the position to make a choice.
Oh yeah, you will never, your choices will never be revealed as long as you put yourself in victimhood. That is a beautiful reality of accountability. As long as you're a victim, your choices will never be realized, because
as long as you're playing victim. As long as you're playing victim.
Right, exactly. When you're playing victim, you're right. Your choices will never be realized because it's not your fault. It's their fault. So when something is somebody else's fault, it's not your responsibility to fix it. So your options are drastically diminished. And it's a disservice to our people to allow this to happen. We have to demand what all of us are doing. We have to demand it from our people. It's that simple. No more patting them on the backs and we're slaves. It's time to get up, go to work. Change that 60% to 0. Like I've owned a construction company, and one thing that all of these businesses have a problem with is employees. It is almost impossible to keep people on these work sites, not just my company, white companies, Black companies. But my thing is that if we make up 60% of the unemployment rate, why aren't we filling these positions? These companies are going out of business because they can't even find workers. It shouldn't be that way.
Who's hiring?
Right, like everybody. Who's hiring? How are they? And where are the construction people? Are the people in your particular city? Did they go to college? So are they? But no, what I'm saying is your demographic made up of people who went to college, and so they may be looking for different work. Don't you have to have some type of skill and strength to be in construction?
Nope. It's the work.
I didn't know that.
You have people who don't want to do that work. Right. I gotta agree with Travis on this one, because as a previous supervisor,
they don't want to work.
Work ethic, and I'm going to say especially my people, and it may be because I hold my people to a higher
exactly.
standard. I do. Our work ethic and I won't say as a whole, the people that I've had work for me, I've had some amazing ones.
Me too.
But I've had some, oh shit, here we go with this again.
Because we were talking about the whole pot.
And so it pisses me off. And I understand Travis's point on that. It does, because you want to work. How many of y'all, let's be real, I'm about to throw a whole real moment that people ain't gonna like me for a second. You have people, I'm unemployed. I'm unemployed, truly unemployed. I'm collecting my whatever unemployment from the city, which they owe you anyway when you're fired or whatever the case, well, not really fired, but laid off, whatever the case may be. And they be like, I can't find a job.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Jobs everywhere.
So jobs are everywhere. So someone would say, hey, if you scrambling, there's telework you can do. You can work from home. You can go to McDonald's. You can go to Walmart. Oh, I don't want to do that work. Well, then you don't want to really work. You don't want to really work. If you are really scrambling, $600 a week is more than $0 a week.
Exactly.
And so I do get pissed off about that. And then I think that's for me is, you don't want to struggle, but you don't want to, I don't want to say work beneath you.
Why would I go work at McDonald's when this unemployment check is doing just fine until I find the job that I'm supposed to, you know what I mean, that I am qualified for?
I am talking about those that are saying, I can't find a job. They're lying. You're finding a job. It's not what you want to do.
Right.
Okay. And so if I have worked to where I can get unemployment because I've worked for this, the people have to work in order to get unemployment. Why I'm not understanding. That's what
it doesn't last forever. It's not there to take
right, and it won't. It runs out at some point, so they can't sit on it forever. So as I can use it until it runs out.
But nobody does that.
Right.
What do they end up doing then?
So
being unemployed.
Okay, but if they don't work, that's them and their business. You know what I'm saying? As long as it doesn't take from anybody else, which it isn't. If they receive unemployment checks, that is what they've worked to receive unemployment checks. And when that unemployment check says $0, you don't get any more. That person either decides to go find a job or they don't. And that is only affecting their own life.
And
not Black people as a whole.
And then when they don't have a job after that point, and then they go on public assistance, then
now it's affecting us.
But see,
because it's not them. They're not paying for the public assistance. So you'd still rather take my dough than go work at McDonald's. And I do have a problem with that.
People who work at McDonald's will still get public assistance.
Here's the thing. You can have an
income.
But what if there's an instance where, and I've seen this happen as well, where you have people who, let's say they had a job, got laid off, okay, you're on unemployment. That's not the situation that they want to be in. I'm avidly looking for a position, and okay, I'm out here looking, and all of these positions, they're beneath me, but I'm still applying because $600 is better than $0. Yeah. But if I'm walking into this establishment and they're like, you got a degree in this and this, I can't hire you because you're not going to stay here anyway. And that's the other situation that a lot of people fall into, whereas they're overqualified for so many other areas that you get X'd out the door. But like, nah, she's not coming here because she's not going to stay. She got more education than I do, and I'm the manager.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not hiring her. And that's what a lot of people, that's what some people fall into. And that's definitely a situation that even me myself have been involved in. It's like, I got more education than the folks who's trying to interview me. Who's like, I'm not hiring her. I know she's not going to stay here. This is just a stepping stool for her, or something just going to hold her over. If that's better than nothing, I'm trying to help provide for my family at this point. I'm trying to make sure I'm not getting $0. We still got bills.
Right.
So, and then another thing that I've seen,
they taking everybody.
Well, wait a minute, let me ask you a question.
Another thing that I've seen though is I'll give a nod to the military on this, because this is one thing that I've seen the Army change, and I'm glad they made this change. You have NCOs and senior NCOs, and you have officers who, you know, have gotten education, have gone to these different military schools, who have been a part of these different organizations, Audie Murphy and things like that, and their resumes are stacked and they tabbed up the top of their shoulder. Right. And then when you look at their ERB or their enlisted record briefing or the one they have for officers, people are looking at it and they're like, okay, well, Jonathan Jackson has this particular set of skills, and he's been to these many duty stations, and he has this amount of education. But you have Kenneth Smith over here who has only who has done some of those things, but he's not exactly to that. But we see potential in him because he's done so many. We think he can exceed to that standard that we have set for him. Let's promote Kenneth and leave Jonathan Jackson over here. Well, what just happened here? They looked at the different things that was going down your resume, but one thing that is listed on everyone's resume is your name, your photo, your race, and the area that you came from. The military, not the military, the Army just took that bit off because they've seen you got so many NCO, so many non-commissioned officers, and so many officers that were looking at these promotions, and they're like, hey, look, I've been busting my ass. I done went to school. I got my associate's degree. I got my bachelor's degree. You know, I'm as soon as I finish my bachelor's, I'm going to make sure I sign up to get my master's. I went to airborne school. I went to air assault. You know, I'm doing all these different things. I made sure I went to different schools and everything that they had. I'm volunteering on the weekends. I'm doing my due diligence to make sure that, hey, I make myself look marketable so that because I know that I would be an excellent supervisor or an NCO, or I know that I can get out here and do the damn thing.
Right.
But when those people that are sitting on that board and they're looking at everyone's resume, basically that's what your ERB is, and they're like, well, he's Black, but he's white. They kind of got the same stuff, but let's go with the white guy over here. We think he can do a little better.
Right. Just
how many times have we seen Black people who have been more qualified for a position and still not get it? So that's happened on way too many occasions that I've seen.
Agreed. So we're at 1 hour and 15. So I have a question to go around the room, and this will be our outro question.
We don't gotta go. I don't have anywhere to be.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Look, you always rushing me off. I'll be like,
I know. My bad. You are right.
Okay.
You are right. That is my fault.
It's okay. All right. No, it's fine. Well, then this doesn't have to be the last. But here's the roundabout question. So what are you doing as an individual to assist people in our community to step out of the playing victim status? What are you doing? So whether you agree or not that our culture plays victim or is a victim, what are you doing to help them move forward regardless?
I can say all of us on this screen are sitting right here doing it right now. We're leading by example. We're showing that we can get out here and look, we can make a way. And if we can't make a way, we can educate each other and pass forth that information. Like, hey, look, you can do a podcast, you can get sponsors, you can get money. It's always a way. It's always a way. I think that personally, I spread knowledge. Whatever knowledge I have, I pass it along, no matter what it is. Whether with me, I'm a retired veteran. Hey, I pass on all knowledge to my veterans. I pass it all on. I pass it on to active duty. So when they get out, they know what to do, because a lot of us don't know what to do. We get out and be stuck sucking our thumb like, what am I do now? So I'm passing on knowledge. I'm seeking more knowledge so I can keep passing it on.
All right.
I totally agree with that. And because one thing this podcast has definitely done that, it's allowed us, if anything, to do more research on different topics that we decide to bring to the forefront for people who may not know about it, or people who aren't as knowledgeable in those particular topics. Other things is like, because my husband is a retired vet. So reaching out to those people who are in some impoverished areas, or people that we know that are back home in other areas, is like, hey, I know this isn't something ideal. This isn't something that you were possibly considering, but here is an outlet. If you do decide to join the military, these are the steps that you should take in order to do this. You don't have to stay. You can do one tour and be out, but use the information that you were given while you're there, gain as much education as you can while you are there. And then on the back end, once you do decide, all right, this ain't for me, I'm gonna do something different, you at least have more tools in your belt now so that you can go and do something else and you're more qualified to do it because you have more work experience, you have more education, and you made yourself more marketable. So if anything like that, we're reaching different people that are doing that. And it's not on a daily basis, but most certainly whoever is seeking out that information, we are willing to give you everything that we know. Like, sharing information is free. I can give you all the tools that I got. I can show you all the brick walls that I ran into, and I can show you the different paths. Like, hey, don't go that way because if somebody else is down there and they're gonna stop you, or you know, you may have a bumpy ride trying to go that direction, try and steer left on this one, or you know, whatever the case may be. But just simply and keeping in contact with different people from either back home or people that I've went to college with, because they have different avenues that they're reaching out to, and like, hey, do you mind if I share your story, or do you mind commenting on this that, you know, you may affect someone else who has this particular level of interest, that, you know, hey, somebody I knew that they were looking at doing something, but I remembered you did it too. Could you share some insight with them? By all means, give them my number or tell them to send me an email. I respond to them.
Right.
And that allows the flow of information to continue. Now, whether you use the information and make different steps happen, that's all on you. I can lead a horse to water, but that motherfucker decide not to drink and starve. Right. That's on you.
Right. Okay. KB or Kela, what are you doing?
First, you want to go? Or want me to go?
Got it.
Okay. For me, you know, I've been full-time for over 15 years. So for me, this conversation, you know, entertainment is great, but it's not the key. Entertainment is a great platform, and I thank God for entertainment because, you know, everybody cannot do it, but in real life is what people don't see that makes the difference. You know, you have to be willing to, first of all, recognize what you stand for. You know, if, you know, you said a couple of things that were very powerful, and I'm glad Kela brought up two things. One thing about the way you say I'm American first. That was an aha for me as far as a conversation. And even Dizzy with the rape thing, it's an aha playing into what I feel is the most important. You have to reflect back on yourself and find out what you stand for. For me, I stand for building bridges instead of ditches. I stand for making people understand unconditional love, but I also stand for my Black people finding their freedom. So I had to really reflect on that. And a lot of that is doing things in the community. And a lot of us are not community workers. We do a lot of community, what I call public talking. We get on platforms and do a lot of speaking. And I'm not talking about parents, you know, they have their own leaders that they're building from their own families. But when I think about the past leaders, there weren't really, you know, we had cameras, but a lot of stuff was not seen. And I think that that's the thing that we have to understand. The work is a work. It's a daily challenge. So for me, I personally just strive to find ways to go to boys and girls clubs, schools, mentoring, being available to help, or if I cannot help, find ways to get the help. I think this platform is humongous, but I have learned one thing that my mom told me, that you can entertain for the rest of your life, but just don't entertain your life, live your life.
Right.
So you have to live your life, and then all the other things can become fun. So I think for everybody who's watching, just realize, find out what you want to do for your community and find how you fit in it, and you will be a great resource to everyone.
Okay.
I don't think I even like communicate with Black people in a way where we are talking about victimhood or you know, self-victimization. I think it's a good topic for today, but I don't feel like we walk around like that. I don't think we even talk like that with each other. And the way that I'm doing it, make myself available for mentoring, coaching, big sistering, whatever, to young Black women, young Black men, Black people of any age, but specifically, younger, so that they can get these lessons today. Whatever I'm learning, late in life, I'm making sure that I'm trying to give back to my, friends who are younger in their 20s, and my siblings. So I think that's what I'm doing on here, educating myself. But I think the best thing that I have done is knowing the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, without the skew of Jim Crow, like the breaking of the mental chains of what, because I used to prop up white supremacy unknowingly. And I think that we all do to a point. And when we are able to do away with that, when we're able to see through that cloud, then we can be more focused and intentional about what we do. And we can see what is happening and then better fight against it. And so I think that could be the road that you're on, Travis. But I do want to ask, do you think that you prop up white supremacy?
No.
With the words, like, do you have this same, like, passion for like poor white people? And if they live in areas of poverty, do you look at them the same as you look at like poor Black people?
Well, generally, but I have more skin in the game with my own kind. I think we have a brand. I'm Black, you Black. It's a brand. And I'm concerned about the way our brand is presented in our country. I care less about Coca-Cola.
Who controls that though? You know that Black people don't control that.
We control our brand. Yes, we do.
No, we don't control our brand. Not as it pertains to the media.
Well, no. I mean, overall, not just media. I mean, just in life, media too. But we do have a large percentage of control of our brand. But we just have to hold our ones that's failing to a higher standard.
I agree with that. I don't think anything that you're saying is wrong on like wanting better for Black people. I don't think anything that you're like, I definitely, agree with all of that. However, you do sound like you are talking down to Black people, and that's where I have a problem. I don't like when Black people or anybody talk down to Black people. It just comes off as, and I'm not saying that this is how you feel, but it comes off as elitist. It comes off as, I was able to pull myself up, so you should be able to. I was able to see and become successful or create a business or something, so should you. But that is like, that's not right. Like, everybody can't do that. Everybody can't even be a business owner. It doesn't even matter what your background is. Some people, you could be the smartest person in the world, but just entrepreneurship is not your thing. And so I think if you're not going to look at Black people as a total pie and say what is actually happening to them, and you're going to look more at the individual, then really look at that individual and look at their life circumstances. But you have to look back even to their grandparents, because that is affecting who they are today. I'm affected by what my grandmother went through.
Right.
Like, that's just what it is. I'm affected, by my dad's mother and everything that she went through. I am still being affected by that. My father-in-law, let me stop.
No, go ahead, man. You can talk all day.
I know people who actually grew up on plantations, who say things to me, who try to lead my life in a certain direction and give me wisdom of what they know, and what they know comes from a plantation. So yes, I am still being impacted. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not that far removed. Jim Crow laws went until 1968, and it was by design so that they can keep Black people in line. And I'm sorry, but my dad was born in 1964, and he was a young parent.
My mom was born in 55.
They didn't give the right to vote until 65.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and the government, I'm not saying individual people, but the white people that are in government have been actively taking away the rights that Black people have fought for ever since. Like, we're still voting on voting rights right now. Why? 2021, why? You think that it might be because of everybody. No, it's because when we get full power, when we are able to fully like enact our rights in this country, it's gonna be a problem. You see what happened to Georgia.
No, I don't think our country sees us as that kind of threat. But I don't.
You underestimate. You haven't been reading. I'm gonna.
We would have to show.
I'm gonna send you some links.
We would have to show some type of unity and strength amongst each other to even be a threat.
What do we have in common? What do we have in common?
What do you mean?
Other than the fact of our skin color, because regionally people are different. Black people are different.
Absolutely.
We even think differently, you know what I mean, as Black people. So if somebody like you and somebody like me, right, we are responsible for moving, for all of us, for Black people becoming unified. We can't even get on the same page, me and you.
We can.
I don't know.
Give us some time.
Look, we definitely have the same goal. We just have different ways of getting there. But I think that the only thing that I would take away from how you're getting there is the negative talk, more positive talk. That's all I'm saying. But we are so different that we haven't, because our language, because of our like traditions, religions, and everything, we don't have anything that truly combines us. Like Chinese people have, we came from China. Just people who come from countries, they have that stamp, they have a language, they have a religion. Black Americans do not. We have a culture for sure. We just don't have those other things that bind us no matter where we are in this country other than our skin color. And so we can't be on the same page. So then it takes longer for us to have unity. It's going to come. I think it's going to come. I think we'll find a way to really rally around something. But at the moment, our experiences are so different that we feel more connected to the people in our region than we do as a whole, just as Black people. Absolutely. But that was by design. That's not something that we chose to do. Right. Jim Crow is a thing. I'm gonna send you the link. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely. Now listen, I got a quick analogy because I know we run out of time, but to kind of bring to light like the stuff that happened to us in the past and being accountable for what it is now. So let's say a man rapes a child. And when court comes up, he's in trial and comes to find out that his parents raped him, that he was raped by his uncles, that he was put in closets and abused and this and that and this and that. It's horrible. And if I was the judge, I would definitely use this as mitigating circumstances and would use this in how I sentence him. But the bottom line is, guess what? Still getting sentenced because he committed a crime, regardless of all of these things that happened in his past and it's horrible, but you have to be held responsible for that child you raped. And it's the same thing with us. We have to be held responsible and to a higher standard.
But why does it have to be jail? That would be my question. Why does it have to be jail?
So what do you say about people like Brock Turner?
It's either jail or death.
I'm not talking about that. I understand. Listen, I understand.
And we normally get death on the other side of jail before that. So
right, but
why
does
do you
it
say
have
about
to be
people
jail?
like Brock Turner who get a slap on the wrist for raping people? How's that working?
Let's focus on his
white girl behind a trash can, and the judge said, well, because he had amazing swimming stats, because he was an amazing athlete in school, he had a good, education going for him, and because he was studying in different private schools, and because his dad was up there, he got 6 months probation, even though he raped this girl behind a trash can, and they said, well, we shouldn't ruin his life just because he had 20 seconds of fun. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
But you got Black people getting killed because you think they ran a stop sign. Okay.
It's definitely it's like we don't want to recognize the truth. It's like we don't really want to accept the truth. It's like we all keep saying the truth, but like you said earlier, when the truth comes, do you really want to listen? Right. And even Disney, when she, because I was passionate and trying to hear you, it's because, like I said before, I still didn't hear a solution. Because you're desperate.
That's why I circled back to the question, and right before it was his turn, Kela asked another question.
It was good though, but it was good because that's the thing that I think everybody needs is a solution. It's like this circle that we've been in culturally, it's ongoing, it's been going for a long time. Let me say this. It feels like a long time, but a short time, because the deepest thing that I was like, dang, First of all, 19. Like, we would want this to happen in 1817. This is 19, around when my dad and my mom. It's so recent. It almost takes like 200 years or 100 years to really balance things out. And I think that's what we're missing. And the beautiful analogy that Dizzy gave about the rape is like, how do we not have compassion for the victim that has been traumatized? You know, and I think when you take that away and say, how do we not have compassion for the Black community as a whole that is traumatized? I mean, just accepting the truth on our behalf is one thing, but accepting the truth on how they just keep putting us in situations that is just designed for failure. And after a while, I said to myself, well, if I work hard, because personally, I'm proud of myself. I was offered EPT and I said no. I said, I don't want anything. I've worked at McDonald's. I've done all the jobs. I'm full-time. I'm a singer, motivational speaker. I am full-time. I bust my guns, but it does not change the frustration. And somebody said, everybody's not built the same. And how frustrating is a mother or a father? Let's not excuse fathers that are single with 2 kids or 1 kid, and they are out there trying to hustle and push. I've seen grown men just break down and cry because they like, I don't know what to do. I'm doing all I can do. And then what happens is the community that they're in, it forces them to make these illegal decisions. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
You can't say that. You can't say it forces them.
No, hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. Just like she said to me, think about it. What I just said, because I can't compare nothing but to my niece. But if I had a chill kids and I'm working really, really hard, like I said, we all have a choice. It doesn't mean that we decide to do what, or quote, the right thing. And if you're put in a situation where, okay, you're trying to get out of the inner city, you're busting job work at the shipyard, you're doing this, you're doing that. Then what happens is you keep getting overlooked. This happens, you lose this, you lose that. So you go get 2 other jobs, because I know people that do the 3 and 4 jobs, especially men, do that. Then all of a sudden, all of that comes down, do. But you still are facing this form of racism and you can see it. Then you're in an area where lucratively, and I hate to say it, because you know, Hollywood always shows us these movies of them in these inner cities, and the choices is selling drugs to make that quick buck, or to strip. And I'm not saying stripping, quote, all the stuff. I'm not judging it. What I'm saying is people are looking for a solution out after they've gone through. I'm not talking about the people that say, well, I'm just going to do it because it's easy money. A lot of times people are given choices that they would not choose to do. Because I've been around even a young girl that had to talk from basically very young, 16, thinking about stripping. And she said, my mom is not making no money. And she's gotten 3 jobs and keep doing this and doing this. This is a young person talking about this. And I had to have this conversation. Well, first of all, that is not the choice. I understand. But that's what I'm saying is those kind of walls that are being created, it gets tricky. And I think when people hear the word victim, it's maybe they draw offense to, like Kela said, you're giving the prescription of judgment instead of the prescription of healing and solution. Because I still, I've heard some things and I feel better, but I would have loved to hear more of your solution. But the one that you give is the one that you feel, which is be accountable and to have accountability to it. And for me personally, I can do it all day, but I was speaking about the pie. So that was it.
So Travis, what are you doing to assist individuals in the community to step out of the play the victim status?
Just using my life as an example at the moment, and situations that I've had to overcome, being been raised in a single family inner city neighborhood, and all the things that a lot of us go through. It just requires accountability, and that's it. And I preach it to everybody. Like all my family members and whoever, that's the same thing with everybody. So just as an example, you can start a business, you can be successful, you can be professional. White people ain't that bad. You can talk to them 9 times out of 10, they cool when it comes to money. But so just try to lead by example, man, at this point. Hopefully, if things go a little bit better, I can start to invest more into people with money, actual cash.
Right. Okay,
But
so you
right
are
now I'm just talking
attempting to
shit.
make some sort of move. You are attempting to make some sort of moves to help the pack,
Right.
not just individuals.
Oh yeah, I've invested into my community, literally with my flooring company and construction business. I've trained countless Black dudes who've actually gone to start their own business to this day. So, I mean, I have invested, but it's always more work to do.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Okay.
I like it. I like it.
Hey,
Juicy.
listen, hey, hold on, Dizzy, man. You cold-blooded, because listen, I'm the king of definitions. I kill people with definitions. And when you did that earlier, I'm like, look at this. Brought the definition of victim up. I'm like the only person to do that to everybody. And listen, not only did you bring up victim, you brought up playing the victim. So yeah, that was awesome, man.
Thank you. Look, that's what look, this is, so here we go. Look, what do I do to assist individuals from playing victim and all of that stuff? I am a researcher and analyzer by nature.
Wow.
So for me, you know how I think Cabana and Kela both said it about, Black people can't get on the same page no, Kela said it. Black people can't get on the same page to move forward, to overtake anything. We can't even get on the same page. I feel what I do is try to bring people to the same page without the emotional piece. I'm emotional. I love my peoples. I love everybody. Well, not everybody. I love most people. But I will not subscribe to foolishness because you feel some type of way.
Mm-hmm.
I will allow people to go left, right. I feel. I'll let them expand get all of that out.
Right.
That's fine. But the fact is, so I feel that mine is bringing facts to the table for debate or for discussion. And I believe I do, as you say, I hold people accountable. And sometimes it turns into jerkness. I have friends that will post incorrect stuff on their Facebook page and on their social media. I'm sorry that I'm the Facebook police with my friends, but don't post foolishness making us look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from some old whack, not real website. Don't push that narrative. Don't keep sharing that we killed, that our people killed people this weekend in Virginia Beach. Don't push the narrative that is being written that's not by us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't push that information if it's not true. If it's not true, if they're not giving you fact, don't take that and run with it. And I think that's what I'm doing. I know I've helped countless individuals. It doesn't even matter what race they are.
Right.
A lot of people I know have profited off of my business degree. A whole lot.
Yeah.
They call and ask for advice, input, insight, network. Cool. Now, it's not my responsibility to circle back and see if you actually followed the advice. If you still sitting on the same couch, not executing what I gave you.
That part.
That's not my responsibility. And so you don't get to play victim 2 weeks from now. Well, nobody told me. Well, I don't know. Oh, yes, you do. Because if you look, people on this panel gonna know this.
For my last email.
Refer to the last email that I sent you. I already told you how to do this. Now it's want. I can't want it more than you want it. So you do you. But I definitely hold people accountable, and I help where I can. I'm one of those people. I don't give cash. All my friends know that. I don't give cash.
Right.
I don't give money, but I give hella time that's worth more than y'all could ever write a check for.
Absolutely.
And I can't help you if you don't want to help yourself.
Not at all. Not at all. And I also think that I'm open, and I think all of us on this panel are. I don't need people to agree with me to be validated.
Right.
You don't have to agree. I don't care. I don't care, because and I mean the people that watch the show, the people in my life, the people at my job, you don't have to agree, we can definitely understand. I can understand everything Travis has said. I can understand everything that Kela and everybody else and Cabana and everyone else on our panel has said today. I don't have to walk away agreeing with you, but I can understand the point of view so that if another individual ever crosses my path with the same train of thought, I'm coming from a place of understanding. Yep. And then I don't have to defend my stance. You heard what I said. You either gonna walk with it or you not.
Right.
So round the room. Do we have a closing out?
I'm good.
Hey, I forgot to tell you, look at that. So y'all musicians, huh?
All right. Come on.
My clarinet is yellow.
What?
My microphone is red.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So I will say first, Travis, I appreciate you joining our show today. I really think that we probably gonna need some more sessions on here with you, because I do like, I don't want to say an opposing point of view, but I do like hearing different point of views, because again, I think and even though everybody may not agree with everything that everybody has said, I love the fact that I think everyone has aha moments when listening to the show. Like, damn, wait a minute, I didn't think about that.
I know Kela didn't. She like, yeah.
Right.
Because Kela already know every damn thing. I like
that.
It.
Is cute. That's cute.
All right, so round the room, exit statements. Who want to go first?
Hey, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. Hope y'all can come back.
Yeah, we'd like to have you back. Thank you, Travis. We appreciate you. All right, next.
Well, I go. Everybody be safe. If you can, since there's more opportunities for people to get the coronavirus shot now, if you feel that that's something that you could do that would keep you safe, by all means, go get the shot. In the interim, wear your mask, wash your face, wash your mask, because some of y'all got funky breath and that shit be coming through. And make sure you wash your ass too. Don't forget about that.
Yes, ma'am. I love it.
Wash the ass twice.
Please do. Use soap, not just water. Don't do a rinse off. And if you gotta do a whole bath, we understand that. But I need you to actually get in the tub.
Right.
Yes, no whole baths. No whole baths.
It's getting hot. Whole baths ain't gonna get it all.
A mess.
Next.
I'm gonna go last.
Okay, Tyrone, Greggory.
Y'all already know. Push that positivity, love. Listen, don't judge books by the cover. Do your research, gain your knowledge, share your wisdom, period.
I need that on a shirt. I like that right there.
Yeah, that was perfect.
I like that. That was good. Write that down. Copyright
that. Positivity.
Yeah,
gang.
Put it on the shirt. That's right, gang. Mr. Cabana Blaq.
I'm just really appreciative. Every day is a lesson. You know, we all just figuring it out. We're doing what we're supposed to do. Find a way to always just continue to be on that journey and be opened. And hopefully when you wake up the next day, you'll feel greater, you feel better, you feel stronger. And just take care of yourself. For real, everybody, take care of yourself. It's not over just yet. The pandemic is still here. COVID is still here. And, you know, we don't want anyone to go. So just take care of yourselves.
Agreed. Miss Kela Mahogany.
I would like to say that understand that we all, none of us asked to be here. We all just, two people decided to make a decision and you were born into the situation that you were born into. Unfortunately, Black people in America, we have been born into some bullshit that we have been fighting against since we got here. So look at each other, and I'm speaking to Black people. Look at each other with empathy. Look at each other with, you know, the care that you should be giving to yourself, because everybody's just trying to do the best that they can. I'm not talking about people who want to actively do crime. They're criminals. That's what they do. Like, we ain't talking about them. We're talking about everyday people who are just out here trying to survive. And so you can't really judge a person in the middle of survival mode. You don't know what you would do, and you can't tell another person what they would do and their circumstances. And we don't know everything about all of our circumstances. And so I would just say, have some grace for yourself, be nice to yourself, and be nice to each other, and just help each other in a positive way and not in a negative way, Travis. But y'all be good. Thank you for tuning in. Today was a great conversation. Travis, thank you for coming on. I think you will be on in the future because I have some work to do on you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Wait a minute, hold up.
I'm up for the challenge.
So here she go. So my last words, I was reading a lot of dialogue in the comments, and I have to apologize to everybody and most of the people in the comments if I was not able to read your comment live today.
So many.
But there was one, and it was really simple, and it stuck out for me because this is not the first time I've heard this comment. So while Travis was discussing his point of view and how he viewed how our culture, how our, should be behaving, be accountable, work harder. What are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. And one of our French cousins over at Whatchu Got To Say France asked the question, is Travis French?
Yeah, he did.
And and it's funny because, and I know I'm going to have to call Frank Olivier later because I did not realize the intense difference between Black people everywhere else on the planet and Black people in the United States until one subtle changes I saw when I lived outside of the country. But when I married my husband and my husband came back to the States with me, he was filled with questions that we kind of take for granted because he could not understand why African Americans thought the way they thought, carried themselves the way they carried themselves. And I'm not talking about it, everybody, just stuff that we see that we even turn our noses up like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? He could not comprehend why some of our people acted the way that they did. And I always found myself having to explain the history of our country to explain to him how we got to this point, because his mentality could not embrace it because, as he said to other friends, so people, associates that like to use the N-word playfully, Black associates, let me put that, Kela get mad, they'd be like, this in here, whatever. And my husband be like, hey, don't call me that, because I'm not that. Oh, I'm saying we boys, we that. And my husband says, no, we not boys. Well, I'm saying we brothers. No, we not. No, we're not. He says to them, I hope that this country's Black people get out of the slave mentality. I wasn't raised this way. So there is a mentality here that we act a certain way because of the past that we have gone through. And it may not be us 6 on this panel that didn't go through it. But just as Kela was saying, I got great-grandmothers, grandmothers, and even current family who were raised on plantations trying to show me how to steer through this life. You cannot tell me that these things have not affected the way we've grown up, the way we move, the way we act, everything. So we cannot be blind to that point. So my last little sentence, I will never deny that we are victims. I will never deny that, but that doesn't mean you have to stay there. Work your path to no longer be that, whatever that is for you. And if we get there as a people, I hope so. But I think we all have different roles that we're playing to get there. We're all playing different roles.
Sure is.
All right. So that's it for What You Got to Say today. We are here every single Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on all major outlets for podcasts. We will see you later. We love y'all. Bye.
Ciao.